Hello and welcome to the 90MinuteCynic podcast. I am your host Chris Gallagher and I'm joined by Christopher Sermanni.
Yo.
Ciaran Harran's making his return.
Good evening.
And Louis.
Yes, sir.
How's it going? We thought we'd actually open with a kind of question, and this is something we'll open up to the Twitter followers and just anyone who's interested. Who's your favourite goalkeeper and why? I will start with Louis. Who's your favourite goalkeeper and why?
I'm just going to go for nostalgic purposes growing up, but Fabien Barthez.
Right.
He was bald and French.
And he used to wear short-sleeved shirts.
And always short sleeves, so his gloves stood out, which is, I think, why he done it.
Wow.
But no, class goalkeeper, and he was, I don't know, he was one of the biggest names in football at the time, and he was a goalkeeper. So for me, he was like the first big name I knew of goalkeeping wise.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go with him. Aye.
He also was one of the first keepers to actually, not one of the first keepers, but to play that sort of role of like being a sweeper. You know, the role that Neuer's obviously kind of famous now. But he fucked up a few times though. So,
Well, what goalkeeper hasn't?
that's life.
That is life.
That's life. I'm going to come to Chris Sermanni. Favourite goalkeeper and why?
Francesco Toldo, because of Euro 2000.
He was phenomenal in that.
He was fantastic. He was as good as any keeper I've seen in his performances during the tournament. Aye, that's it. I just loved that tournament. I thought he was superb.
Yeah, terrific hair.
Lovely hair.
Lovely hair. He was terrific, but his form kind of didn't really keep up. Was it Inter he went to after Fiorentina?
Yep, I think, pretty sure it was. But for that golden summer, Chris, he was wonderful.
I've got a tear here. Ciaran Harran.
Edwin van der Sar. One of the only keepers that once he's collected the ball, could pick a pass to the forward and actually almost get it on the forward's foot. He was just great with his outlay of the ball, and he just get the counter-attack going.
Yeah, it was a big... he was rubbish at Juventus, Van der Sar. You remember when he was
He was absolutely terrible. Was it you or Marek that made an all-time worst Juventus team?
I did.
You did, and you had a minute?
I had a minute, yeah. He's one of the... Because Juventus have been gifted with goalkeepers since I've been watching them. But he went from Ajax, and he was tremendous at Ajax, and then at Juventus he was terrible. And then, was it Fulham then? Fulham? And then he was at Fulham for 4 years or something?
Quite a while, eh?
And then obviously get back to the top with Manchester United. But no, it's a terrific one. Mine's is Buffon, because Buffon's just the best goalkeeper probably ever.
Apart from being a bit fascist.
He's a bit of a fascist. But what are you going to do? He's Italian. So you're either fascist or a communist, so
Aye.
you know there's not really any middle ground. is there?
Toldo was a commie.
Well,
Used to share his sweets out in the dressing room.
lovely.
Another one I liked was it Cannavares? It was at Valencia.
Canizares.
Canizares.
Yeah, Canizares.
Was he not at Madrid before that?
Yeah, he was.
Aye. Santiago.
Canizares.
Yeah, that's right.
He was a good keeper.
Yeah,
The Silver Fox.
he famously missed. Was it Euro 2004? He missed it because he dropped a bottle of a bottle of aftershave on his foot while he's getting ready for a night out.
Was it a big bottle?
Sources haven't confirmed the brand or size of the bottle, but let's hope so.
Yep.
It's a shame though. He obviously dropped it on his foot for a goalkeeper. That's not great. I was going to actually open it up wider and say who's your favourite Celtic goalkeeper, but the right answer is Boric. So there you are. Well, we're going to start as we always do with Celtic. I wasn't at the game, but I saw the highlights. Chris and Ciaran were both at the game, so I'm going to get your kind of initial thoughts from it. So I'll start with you, Ciaran. What are your kind of initial thoughts from the game overall?
A woeful first half. There was just no penetration, nothing in the last third. Stokes and Guidetti, they kind of almost stood next to each other. There was not a lot of movement. It was just very unfortunate. Motherwell just sat. They had their bank of 4 and their bank of 5, because you could see it in the first half, then one at the second. The minute Denia had the ball, he could actually run 15, 20 yards with no pressure him, because there was just a whole big open gap. So they just kept it really, really tight at the back, and we just couldn't get anything through them.
Chris, thoughts?
It was absolutely terrible. As Ciaran said, in the second half, it was an improvement. Still wasn't very good. The one positive thing I will say about Dyla is his starting lineup was wrong. and he made the changes, bringing on Commons and Brown. I suppose that's positive. He's not afraid to make the change, but other than that, I can't really think too much to say about it. It was very good. As Ciaran said, they sat in. I mean, how long we've been playing teams that sit in against us and struggle to break them down. You think we would have learned, yep, and look for somebody with a bit of creativity that can pick a pass, but we don't. We had 2 holding midfielders at home. Beaton and Kyle starting. I don't see the point. I don't see the need in that. If we're looking for creativity from our wingers, Tonev, if I'm being generous to him, isn't fit. And McGregor, to me, looks as if he's done well, but I think it's maybe time for him to come out of the side because he's not been a first team player for us for a long time and his form isn't up to what it has been. So I think that's the problems, that we're not getting anything from the wide positions and struggling creatively.
Just on that, I will get to thoughts on individual players because I know, Ciaran, you've got a few thoughts on Beaton, but I'll come to you, Louis. Actually, I mean, I think I agree with Chris. I think he's right about McGregor. Is it maybe damaging him to play him when he's not performing well? Maybe he deserves a rest at this point because he has played almost every game and he is only 20. Are we expecting too much of him, is what I'd ask?
Well, there's always going to be high expectations. I mean, Celtic fans want to see the young players get a chance. Most Celtic fans, I think. We've certainly been banging on about it for what seems like forever now. I don't think he should be dropped personally, just because I think I think this is where kind of Dial is maybe coming from, is that these players need to learn. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be much benefit to him dropping out the side. I mean, surely he's got to be looking back on his performances and analysing his performances and looking to see where he can improve. If he's doing that after each and every game, hopefully if he stays in the side and consistently plays, whether he's good, bad or indifferent, as long as he's getting game time and getting experience, I think it would serve him well in the long run. Can
we afford to develop a player at this point?
That's the thing I was going to say. I agree with what Louis' idea, if you will, but because we're not winning just now, I think that's where the problem is. I think having him in the team, we need someone who's going to have more of a direct impact. To be fair, there might not be anybody. Do you know what I mean? We might not have anybody in the squad right now who's going to be able to replace him and improve on him. But I think he will benefit from staying in the team. But unfortunately, we need to start winning just now.
I don't think there's anybody in the squad that would play in his position other than Forrest, though. Forrest ain't fit. So who else is going to play out wide on the right? Unless you're putting a left winger, I don't know.
I mean, Mubarak he didn't come on yesterday.
Was he on the bench?
He took a knock during the week.
Right, okay. So that's obviously why he wasn't playing. Ciaran, you thought McGregor did better when Brown came on and Commons came on?
I was going to say that. It looked like in the first half, with the kind of sheer lack of leaders and real experience in the park, McGregor seemed to kind of hide a little bit. But once obviously Brown and Commons came on, they obviously seemed to have helped him kind of come into the game more, and you could see the ball more often in the second half, making more runs. Fortunately, a lot of times he was kind of coming inside and getting crowded out instead of maybe going to the byline and getting crosses in, since we did most of the time have 2 strikers with Stokes and Godetti on for most of the game.
Yeah. We've got, we'll come to the kind of thoughts on Godetti. Martin McKeown at Marty M195, give him a follow. He says Lennon got stick for not rotating his squad, whereas Ronnie's getting stick for using fringe players. It's a good point, Louis. You had right up. I just want to finish his tweet. Martin actually tweets again and says he thinks that Ronnie's the right man to take us forward once he's backed correctly.
Who was that that tweeted on?
That was Martin McKeown.
Martin was right. Spot on, I think. That was one of the things that was annoying me, and I was watching the Gaelic football and didn't see the Celtic game, but I was checking on Twitter constantly and it didn't sound as if it was going very well. And then as soon as the game finished, there was people coming out and bashing Tyler and wanting him to get the sack and all this kind of thing. And I was just sitting there thinking it's 3 days after a good result in Europe.
Away from home.
2-2 away from home against...
To the top seed.
Yep, to the top seed in the group. We're 3 days after that, we're playing and we've drawn, we've not lost, we've drawn a league game against Motherwell. I'm not saying by any means that I'm happy with the fact, or by the sounds of it, how we played, or the fact that we've drawn at home in the league, but it's not as if Neil Lennon, who seems to be held up in great esteem by so many, I mean, how many times did he have a really good performance at the weekend after a midweek European game?
I mean, that was, that's like, it's a really good point. I mean, was his Achilles heel.
To me, it strikes me like it's not Dyla that was the issue there, it's the players. The players haven't stepped up. There's obviously the same issue with playing straight after a European game as there was last year. If there's the same issue, and despite changing managers it's not fixed, it's the players. Now, Lennon would rotate the squad. People would even at times call for him to rotate the squad. I don't think there was a huge need for Dyla to do that at the weekend, but he obviously felt for one reason or another, with different players maybe needing a rest, or they've played a lot of games, or they've got a knock, to rotate it a bit. And it was a chance for the fringe players to stake their claim, and they failed. Again, they did not step up. I mean, that shouldn't be the manager's fault. It has to get to a point where the players have to take some responsibility.
It's the problem I've got with Dyla just now is there's no apparent system with him though.
Yeah.
They seem all over the place. That's the thing. I mean, it's like I do appreciate where you're coming from, saying the players didn't step up to the mark, and with the squad size we've got, we should still be able to put a team in the park that can comfortably beat Motherwell. But it's the strange substitute. I mean, okay, Dyla made the point about not starting players, and we don't see training, so we don't know why they don't always start games. But to drop Gordon, play as Jaluska, make changes in midfield, the fact that his tactics seem all over the place, there's no strict formation, that does worry me. That's the one thing I'll say. It doesn't. It's almost as if he's not quite sure what he's doing just now.
That rankles with me a little bit as well.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, I'll let you finish your point, but you make a great point about Gordon. Anyway, go.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I do agree to a certain extent. It's after a big European game, we get a great result, and it's not uncommon for teams to not perform as well. But I'd rather see something on the pitch, just see us having a bad game, some sort of cohesive formation, whereas to me it just seems as if he's not quite sure what he's doing yet.
Yeah. Ciaran, how do you think we lined up in terms of formation? Because I've looked at a few different kind of things, and some people are saying it's a 4-4-2, and some people saying it's a 4-2-3-1. What was it? How did we line up? Was it a partnership with Stokes and Guidetti?
It looked like it was a partnership, and then it looked like you had two holders with Beaton and Keogh, so there's just this big empty cavity between the forward line and the holding midfielders that Stokes didn't seem to drop into. But I've heard before saying Stokes' preferred position is almost like the number 10, where you drop off the striker. He didn't seem to be doing any of that. He didn't really seem to get on the ball, and then when he gets in the ball, he was far too deep, lost the ball, and then caused the goal.
Yeah.
But the worry for me is, when you take Commons out of that position, there's nobody else in the team to play in that position. So it's almost as if Commons has to play every game now, because we don't have a replacement with the creativity knowledge that he has.
Yeah. Chris?
Sorry. I would like to see him maybe play a diamond in the middle of the park. Because I feel, as Ciaran says, there's too much of us. If you're going, you could play one holding midfielder, possibly Beaton, and then you could play somebody further forward. And I think that would. I think Beaton looks better in a diamond.
Yeah.
Whereas sitting with two holding midfielders, he looks a bit lost.
But then he's not going to have the wide players that he wants.
You can still have wide players in a diamond. They just have to work a little bit harder.
Well, that's not going to happen. They can't work now.
Jesus. No, I mean, like the way that Martin O'Neill set up, like when he kind of had that sort of run just before the run to Seville, when we had like a 3-5-2. I mean, it was Lennon Lambert sitting with Petrov box to box.
Yeah.
And that worked with two almost whole midfielders. But I'm pointing to, we just don't have a space in there. There's nothing in there. I mean, it looks, from according to certain websites, it looks almost like